Hello my fellow oddities, we are once again going to be ranking some Mortal Kombat stages, and today we're rounding out the original trilogy by taking a look at MK3/UMK3, which have a whopping total of 18 stages, more than the previous two titles combined. All you need to remember is that stage fatalities are not being counted, and without further ado, let's jump right in. Number 18, Noobsdorfen. Through 2 games and 17 previous stages, not once have I called any of them bad, but that changes right here. Noobsdorfen sucks. Not only is it just a cut down version of the balcony stage, already very lazy, but they didn't even bother cleaning up the blatant gaps where the previous sprites were. There are literally giant black squares of nothing, which is both very ugly and makes fighting against the person this stage is named after, Noob Saibot, an absolute headache. I can't see shit! It also has by far the worst theme in the game. It just feels like a constant build-up with no payoff. Hardly the soundtrack you want for a fight, especially a secret battle against the GOAT, Noob Saibot. But we've gotten the game's one bad stage out of the way, now back to the bangers. Number 17, The Bank. For the bank, I enjoy the concept of being in a building with a window looking over the city. However, I think in execution it could have been more memorable. While the view is nice, it's not one you can't see elsewhere in the game, and the white marble looks good and fits the bank aesthetic, but it's not very striking. I think having the red carpet that was added in MK Trilogy improved it quite a bit to make the stage more interesting to look at. But the big issue really is its emptiness. It's a bank stage with no vault, no flying money, no gold bars, and for some reason it has an MK logo carved into the floor, which makes no sense. Why would a random bank in an Earthrealm city have that? But a big plus of this stage is the music, which is shared by another stage, very common in this game unfortunately, but it is one of my favorite soundtracks from this title, a big compliment because there is some heat in MK3, but we'll take a listen to it when we get to the other stage that it's on. Number 16, The Bridge. First thing to mention here is that I love that skyline. Most of the skies in MK3 are black or reddish, but this one is a nice yellow color that looks beautiful. Other than that, it's solid. I think more could have been done with the bridge idea. The concept art has these traffic barricades that would have added both some color and just a little more going on to the stage. And that's my biggest critique. Similar to the bank, I just wish it had more. I really like the crumpled papers flying through the air. That adds some life. More stuff like that, because there are other street level stages in this game that are simply just better and more memorable. The music here is pretty solid. It's not one of my favorites from this game, but it sounds good. Just wish it was a little more upbeat. Number 15, The Balcony. This is where you battle Motaro, which explains the 2 statues of him on either side of the arena. It's also the stage that got butchered into Noobsdorfen, and while it's certainly better than that abomination, at the end of the day it does just seem like Temu Goro's lair without the atmosphere, the horror, and the great build-up that stage had. The coolest thing about it is the green pit in the background that goes down into the Soul Chamber, so basically the best thing about the stage is that it reminds you of a much better one. But that's a lot of complaining. This stage does look good, and it is just simply cooler and has more reason to exist compared to a couple of these previous entries. I'm just looking at it as a boss stage rather than a regular stage, and in that regard, really overall, this game struggles. As for music, it shares a theme with 2 other stages, and I think it fits the least on this stage, but I still really enjoy it. Number 14, The Rooftop. The view. That view is the main reason this stage is this high, because really the area you fight on itself is pretty boring. It's just a rooftop with a few gargoyles. But man, Shao's Fortress looks better here than it does on any other stage. Plus the giant red portal above it and city skyline, it really shows that aesthetic MK3 was going for with the invasion storyline, something I wish was kept in the MK9 version. But like I said, other than that, it's not too special. I will say the giant gargoyles on either side are kind of funny funny in how over the top they are, like who is doing the city architecture in the MK universe, but yeah, nothing too memorable. Music-wise, absolute fire, but again, it shares it with 2 other stages. God, I wish all these stages could have had unique music, but I understand the technical limitations. Number 13, the Pit 3. Don't kill me for this, but the Pit 3 is by far the worst pit stage we've ever seen, and is honestly a mid-tier arena because the background of the pit was a huge part of what made it so cool, a gray bridge against a night sky, but here it's a brown bridge on a brown backdrop, which is much more dull. And the spinning saw blades are an attempt to up the levels from the original pit, but honestly they just don't have the same aura as simple spikes. But the thing that really irritates me is that this is the final boss stage of the game, but it just doesn't have the vibes of a Khan's Arena or Goro's Lair, which is just incredibly disappointing for the great finale of this trilogy and the initial Shao Kahn era. So visually it gets pretty high just because the pit as a basic concept still looks good, but man, it should have been a lot better. Musically, it has the same theme as the balcony and another stage we'll get to, but it was most likely made for this stage. The pure choir focus is weird for MK, but I actually like it. For a stage that doesn't feel as epic as it should, the music saves it just a little. Number 12, the Street. This is just a better version of the bridge stage. While I love that stage's skyline, you're not beating the giant fortress in the background. Plus this one has a building, a dumpster, broken streetlights, the same flying crumpled papers. It's just more detailed and interesting than the bridge. But with that, being honest, the street level look is not my favorite in MK. When you have a universe as expansive as this with the different worlds that it's built, just fighting on a city street is a little boring, which is why I do appreciate Shao's Fortress adding some level of mysticy, but on a fundamental level, it's not my favorite aesthetic. And that brings me to the music. It's peak for all the wrong reasons. Now the actual instrumental is pretty good, but was the woman screaming sound effects really necessary? Yes. Yes, they were. Number 11, The Cave. I'm not sure why this is called The Cave. Fun fact, there was an actual cave stage meant for MK3 that got cut, but this is really Shao Kahn's throne room, as you can see him looking incredibly menacing in the background. I love the red, glowing, ominous color scheme this stage has, and the MK logo on the ground looks great. I do wish Shao was a little closer, he's kind of way in the back, but that's just a nitpick. This stage is really good. We're just starting to get into some really great stages here. Music-wise, it has the same theme as The Bank. Like I said with that one, this is one of my favorite soundtracks in the series. It is super iconic with the electric guitar riff. Number 10, Waterfront. I'm not really sure why I like this stage so much. It's really nothing special, but whenever I think of MK3 or UMK3, even Trilogy, this is one of the first arenas I think of. I just associate it so much with this game, even though objectively nothing's really going on in it. It's got a very cool aesthetic with the blue water and purple sky, which is broken up well by the warm lights of the waterfront. Plus the city skyline looks nice. It's very simple, but in my opinion very effective, and it's by far my favorite of sort of the surface street level stages in the game. The theme on this stage is also so good, but we're going to discuss it more on the stage it's really associated with. Number 9, the Hidden Portal. There are 2 portal stages in this game, and for me, they're pretty much neck and neck, but I like this one just slightly less. This arena has the same bridge as the Pit 3, and in the background has the Choose Your Destiny towers, which are pretty neat, but obviously the main thing is the orange portal, which is very similar but not the exact same as the one from MK2, but it retains all those same pluses of just the portal being badass. However, music-wise, it has the same theme as Noob's Dorphin, which is just a massive L. Number 8, let's just call it the Blue Portal. This is pretty similar to the previous one, just it doesn't have the Choose Your Destiny towers and instead has the background bridge from MK2's Pit 2, which is interesting, and the portal is a bluish purple color. It's also the biggest / closest portal of any of these stages, with the other 2 portal stages from this game and MK2 being farther out into the background. This one really feels like you're right there and one wrong move can send you to who knows where. There's not much else to say other than that. The music is the same, I just like the bigger portal, and blue looks cooler to me than orange. Number 7, the Bell Tower. This is another stage that, even though it's not the craziest thing in the world, when I think MK3, it is one of the first thoughts that pops into my mind. I really enjoy the wooden aesthetic with the contrasting dark night sky and full moon in the background. It is odd that there's no actual bells. There were meant to be, but for some reason they got cut. But I still think it hits the Bell Tower aesthetic well, even without them. And the fact that there's this huge fall onto a pit of spikes is super ridiculous and random, but also funny and gives the stage some heart. Other than that, there's not much to break down here, it just looks really good. Music-wise, it has the amazing theme that was also on the rooftop that we'll get to listening to in just a little bit. Number 6, Scorpion's Lair. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe this is the first ever stage in MK to not take place in either Earthrealm or Outworld, even though for some reason here it's below the cave stage, but it's meant to be in the Netherrealm. And this is one of those stages that became a staple of the series. The hellish aesthetic with lava and bones returned many times, and this was the first, so you have to give it credit for that. The pillars of skeletons are super creepy. MK3 doesn't delve too much into the horror side of MK as MK2 or 1992 did, which is disappointing, but this stage does give you a little taste of that. The giant skull entrance on the left is also very cool looking. For the music, it uses the same theme as the Pit 3 and the balcony, which again fits not as much as the Pit 3, but more than the balcony in my opinion. You can kind of think of it as all the souls singing a haunting choir. Number 5, the Graveyard. We go from where the souls reside to where the bodies do with the Graveyard. This is the only other stage than Scorpion's Lair that really dives into gothic horror aesthetic, and it looks great. You got the bluish purple sky with the full moon and clouds passing by, the dead trees, the tombs. I really like this one with the lantern and shovel. And best of all, you got the graves with the names of Midway developers, Steve Buran, John Tobias, Dan Forden, John Vogel, Ed Boon, and then you even got a grave for Johnny Cage, a neat touch since he did canonically die in this game. And the cherry on top with this amazing arena is the music. Another iconic theme for MK. It's got a weird mix of being upbeat but also kind of off-putting that I love for the Graveyard. Number 4, the Temple. The most colorful stage in the game with the stained glass windows, and that is my favorite thing about it. MK3 mostly has a very dull and basic color scheme with the exception of a few stages, and even those ones usually stick to just 1 or 2 colors, but this one just catches my eyes very nicely. The red candles in the foreground are also really cool. The one criticism I have of the temple is the same as the bank. Why is there an MK logo in this random church? I don't think this was a church built for a significant MK character or group, so it's kind of odd, but not a huge deal. But yeah, for me, this stage is just very beautiful and color-filled, plus the music is one of my favorites. And the reason I love it so much is because it is blatantly fitting for the stage that it's on. Most other stages just try to hit the vibe, but this track truly would not fit on any other stage. It has those exact church-like instruments that are very immersive. Number 3, the Subway. When it comes to the most iconic stages from MK3, it's tough, but I think the stage that captures what most people think of when imagining this game is the Subway. The abandoned, ruined urban city aesthetic, ominous lighting, and fun references. The Subway has it all. Me personally, I understand completely why many love this stage so much, even beyond the stage fatality, and why it's been brought back so many times. The architecture of a subway just lends itself really well to a fighting game stage and allows for a lot of background detail, liveliness, and colors. This stage has red lighting, white lighting, and it looks awesome, and there's a weird unsettlingness to it when just completely idle. The empty bench, the cracks in the pillars and walls, and just the lack of any life gives this stage a great atmosphere. And the soundtrack is the best one in the whole game. The Waterfront also has this track, but I always associated it with the subway, and it just feels like the theme of MK3 whenever I think of it. Maybe because Cyrax and Sector originated from this game, and Ketchup and Mustard's videos always start with this music. Number 2, the Soul Chamber. If we're talking strictly visuals, the Soul Chamber is my favorite stage in MK3. It's the most unique one of the game, and the architecture and color scheme is just perfect, with the orangish, rocky face and background contrasted with the bright green energy of the Solnado. Plus there's bones and hooded people in the background watching. It's just the most visually distinct stage among the whole host of arenas this game has. The reason it's not number 1, however, is the music, which, don't get me wrong, is still really good. It's fantastic and it fits this stage. It honestly sounds more like an MK2 arena soundtrack rather than MK3, which is not a bad thing at all, but compared to number 1, this music doesn't hold a candle in my opinion. It's just not as memorable or iconic, and the visual difference isn't big enough for me to grant the Soul Chamber the top spot. Which is number 1, Jade's Desert. Now I know this will not be a popular choice for number 1, and while I do think the Soul Chamber is better visually, I think this stage holds its own in that regard, and the simplicity of it just works for me. I mean, it is literally just a desert, but deserts look cool, and it still has the surface where the combatants fight with the MK logo, the ruins buried in sand. MK9 retconned this into being the ruins of Edenia, which I think is really cool, and of course Cyrax stuck in the sand, which I'm not gonna lie is a huge reason why I love this stage. Having a random character in the background just makes it so much more lively and interesting to look at. It helps this stage stick in your mind. Everyone knows the stage where Cyrax is in the sand, even if they don't know the name or even what game it's from. But the main reason this is number 1 is the music, which this stage shares with the bell tower and rooftop, and it's amazing. It's the perfect mix of everything MK soundtracks do well. The electronic instruments, the haunting choir, the upbeat tempo, it's everything, and whenever I'm on this stage, it bangs the hardest. And yeah, Jade's Desert is my favorite MK3 stage. I know that'll be controversial, so let me know respectfully what your favorite and least favorite MK3 stages are in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, because much more will be coming very soon. That'll be it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.